Most individuals operate under the assumption that kidney issues come with noticeable discomfort, clear warning signals, or unmistakable symptoms. Yet the reality is considerably more alarming. Your kidneys can be under silent duress for years on end, not due to some overt illness, but because of commonplace foods that appear innocuous and sometimes even beneficial. Today, we're revealing the truth about the dietary choices that gradually deteriorate your kidney function. And crucially, we'll explore the steps you can take to safeguard them. Because this is the essential takeaway, comprehending these hidden dangers empowers you. It gives you the ability to implement minor adjustments that yield significant compounded benefits over the coming decades. Before we examine specific foods, however, we must first grasp a vital concept about your kidneys. What makes these organs, which have worked dutifully for you for so long, exceptionally susceptible to harm? Picture your kidneys as ultra-precise coffee filters that are never, ever changed out. They operate continuously, processing an astounding 40 to 50 gallons of blood each and every day. That figure is correct, 40 to 50 gallons. Their job is to sort waste from vital nutrients, regulate fluid balance, manage mineral levels, help control blood pressure. And they accomplish all of this without requiring a single conscious thought from you. But here is the extraordinary fact that also explains their vulnerability. Your kidneys are fed by a massive supply of blood. Although they constitute a mere 1% of your total body weight, they receive roughly 20% of all the blood pumped by your heart. This is because they require constant, minute-by-minute access to your bloodstream to perform their filtration duties. Your blood cycles repeatedly through these two organs, each about the size of your fist. And since they encounter such a tremendous volume of blood, they are also exposed to every single substance carried within it. Every toxin, every chemical, every unbalanced mineral, every waste product. Gradually, if those exposures become excessively concentrated, too frequent, or overly harsh, damage accumulates without a sound. No ringing alarms, no acute pain, just the slow, steady erosion of delicate filtration membranes that cannot be repaired or regenerated. Therefore, protection isn't about achieving perfection. It's about minimizing avoidable stress wherever we practically can. Now that we appreciate the delicate nature of this system, let's explore the first category of foods that quietly overburden it. You've likely been told for years that salt is detrimental to your health. Physicians advise monitoring your sodium intake. Food packaging proudly declares low sodium. There seems to be a universal agreement that less salt equates to healthier kidneys. However, that's not entirely accurate. Misunderstanding this point could actually leave you more bewildered and at greater risk. The genuine issue isn't salt itself. It's the imbalance that accompanies it. Here's what that means. When you consume processed items like canned soups, frozen meals, daily meats, or fast food, you're ingesting concentrated amounts of sodium without the counterbalancing minerals your body requires, particularly potassium. Sodium and potassium function as a coordinated team. They are like partners in a dance. When they are at equilibrium, they collaborate to manage fluid levels, assist nerve signaling, and maintain stable blood pressure. But when a flood of sodium arrives without its partner potassium, the entire system is disrupted. Your kidneys are then forced to labor much harder to restore balance. They begin retaining extra fluid to dilute the sodium concentration, which increases overall blood volume, which in turn elevates blood pressure. This heightened blood pressure generates friction within the tiny, delicate blood vessels inside your kidneys, the very vessels responsible for filtration. Over months and years, that friction inflicts microvascular damage. Think of it as similar to water pressure, gradually wearing away the interior of aging pipes. So, the key lesson isn't to fear salt. In fact, many older adults genuinely require more salt, particularly if they are physically active or on specific medications. The objective is to consume sodium within the context of whole foods, foods that naturally contain potassium, such as leafy greens, vegetables, avocados, and potatoes. If you do use salt, consider pairing it with meals rich in potassium. And if you use an electrolyte supplement, select one that balances sodium with potassium and magnesium, rather than providing sodium alone. The aim is balance, not total elimination. Regrettably, sodium isn't the only hidden component in processed foods. Some ingredients are far less obvious and considerably more concerning. Let's discuss an item that might be in your kitchen at this very moment: coffee creamer. You might be thinking, it's just a small amount of creamer in my morning coffee. How harmful could it possibly be? And that perception is precisely the problem. It seems so trivial, so harmless. But here's what the majority of people fail to realize. Most commercial coffee creamers contain no actual cream. They are completely non-dairy. So what are they made of then? Chemical engineering. These products are essentially flavored syrups blended with emulsifiers, stabilizers, thickeners, artificial colors, and synthetic flavors. Some contain titanium dioxide, an additive historically used to enhance whiteness and creaminess. Others depend on emulsifiers to mix oil and water, creating that creamy texture without any real dairy. While each individual chemical might be approved as generally recognized as safe, the long-term, cumulative impact on your kidneys tells a different story. Growing research indicates these additives can weaken the structural integrity of the kidney's filtration membranes. Imagine a screen door that begins to develop minute holes. Over time, substances that should remain in your bloodstream, like proteins, start seeping through into your urine. You might not detect it, but a routine urine test at your doctor's office would reveal it. Once this leakage begins, it often signals that kidney function is already impaired. Does this mean you must forever forsake a creamy cup of coffee? Absolutely not. But it does mean being more intentional about what creamy truly represents. A small splash of real cream, whole milk, or even a bit of coconut milk is a much gentler choice than a bottle of chemicals engineered to imitate cream. It's a simple swap that creates a meaningful difference over time. Once chemicals and imbalanced minerals enter your bloodstream, another factor becomes critically important: hydration. This leads us to a topic many people enjoy, yet few associate with kidney health: alcohol. My purpose is not to lecture you on whether you should or shouldn't enjoy a glass of wine with dinner. Instead, I want you to understand what occurs inside your body when you do, because knowledge provides you with informed choice. Alcohol is a diuretic, meaning it increases urine production and leads to dehydration. When you're dehydrated, your kidneys have less fluid to work with, yet they still must filter the same volume of waste. Consequently, everything in your system becomes more concentrated: toxins, waste products, minerals. They all exist within a smaller volume of fluid, making them more difficult to process and more prone to crystallization. Additionally, alcohol itself is metabolized into compounds that place a toxic burden on tissues, including kidney tissue. One of these byproducts is uric acid. Uric acid forms sharp, glass-like crystals. These crystals are abrasive, and when they accumulate, they can scrape and damage delicate kidney structures. They can also cluster together to form kidney stones. Therefore, even if you drink in moderation, combination of dehydration and toxic byproducts creates a dual burden on your kidneys. And here's where it can become worse. Many people don't drink alcohol straight. They mix it with sugary sodas, sweetened juices, or energy drinks. This adds fructose and artificial sweeteners into the mixed components we will discuss in detail shortly. Just know that these additions significantly amplify the stress on your kidneys. The essential point is this: if you choose to drink, do so mindfully. Maintain excellent hydration before and after. Avoid sugary mixers and be conscious of frequency. Occasional consumption has a very different cumulative impact on your kidneys compared to daily intake. Sometimes, however, the problem isn't what appears unhealthy, it's what appears exceptionally healthy. This next one astonishes nearly everyone. Imagine beginning your morning with a vibrant green smoothie packed with spinach, kale, almonds, and perhaps some beets. It feels virtuous, right? As though you're doing something wonderfully beneficial for your body. And in many ways, you might be. But if you are making these smoothies every single day and loading them with high oxalate ingredients, you could be creating an entirely different issue. Oxalates are natural compounds found in many plants. In moderate quantities, most people process them without difficulty. However, certain foods, spinach, almonds, beets, Swiss chard, are exceptionally high in oxalates. When you blend them into a smoothie, you concentrate those compounds and make them very easy to absorb rapidly. Oxalates can form sharp crystals in your bloodstream and kidneys. Similar to uric acid, they bind with calcium to create kidney stones. For some individuals, this becomes a serious concern. For others, it poses no issue at all. So, what creates the difference? It depends on how effectively your body manages oxalates, which hinges on several factors. First, your gut bacteria. A specific type of bacteria can actually break down oxalates before they are absorbed into your bloodstream. If you have a diverse, healthy microbiome, you are more likely to have these protective bacteria performing the task for you. Second, mineral balance is enormously important. If your diet provides ample calcium and magnesium, those minerals can bind to oxalates in your digestive tract. Once bound together, they pass through your system without being absorbed, solving the problem before it even starts. Third, hydration. If you are well hydrated, oxalates are less likely to crystallize and form stones. Finally, digestive health matters. If you have low stomach acid, common as we age, you absorb minerals less efficiently, meaning fewer minerals are available to bind those oxalates. If you have a leaky gut, oxalates can slip into your bloodstream more easily. If you are constipated, oxalates remain in your digestive system longer, allowing more time for absorption. So, You see, it's not merely a question of whether spinach is good or bad. It's about the complete context of your health. Some people thrive on daily green smoothies. Others need to be more cautious, rotating their greens and using lower oxalate options like romaine, arugula, or bok choy. The lesson here isn't to fear healthy foods. It's to recognize that even nutritious choices require balance, variety, and awareness of your individual response. Pay attention to how your body feels. And if you adore your green smoothies, consider adding a squeeze of lemon. The citrate in lemon juice can help prevent oxalate crystals from forming, acting as a protective agent. Now let's discuss something that lurks in thousands of products, often marketed as the healthier option: artificial sweeteners. These appear in diet sodas, sugar-free desserts, flavored waters, protein powders, and even chewing gum. Because they contain 0 calories, they have been positioned as an intelligent alternative to sugar. But when it comes to your kidneys, 0 calories does not mean 0 impact. Research has particularly flagged 3 artificial sweeteners as problematic. The first breaks down in your body into methanol, the type of alcohol that can cause blindness, which then converts into formaldehyde, a chemical used to preserve specimens in laboratories. This is not something you want circulating within your living tissues. The second directly alters how the tiny tubules in your kidneys function, impairing their ability to filter waste and reabsorb nutrients properly. Imagine throwing a wrench into a piece of finely tuned machinery. The third actually accumulates in kidney tissue over time, damaging the mitochondria, the energy factory inside your cells, and creating oxidative stress that accelerates the aging and breakdown of that tissue. All 3 of these sweeteners are directly toxic to kidney cells. They are not inert substances that pass through harmlessly. They actively damage the filtration membranes and scar the delicate structures your kidneys depend on. And because they are in so many products, especially those marketed to older adults, managing weight or blood sugar exposure can be constant and cumulative. Day after day, year after year, the damage builds. So, what is the alternative? If you desire sweetness, small amounts of natural options like stevia or monk fruit are gentler choices. Another approach is to gradually reduce your taste threshold for sweetness. Your palate adapts. What tastes bland today can become perfectly satisfying a few weeks from now. Here's another area where confusion abounds: protein. You've probably heard conflicting messages. Some claim protein is hard on the kidneys. Others insist you need more protein as you age to maintain muscle mass. So which is correct? The truth is that protein itself is not the villain. Your body requires protein to repair tissues, including kidney tissue. The nitrogen in protein does generate waste products that your kidneys must filter out. But for healthy kidneys, this is not a problem. It's precisely what they are designed to do. The issue arises with processed meats. Here's why: when you eat something like deli turkey, bacon, hot dogs, or pepperoni, you are not just getting protein. You are also ingesting phosphate, preservatives, nitrates, nitrites, and advanced glycation end products, which form when proteins and sugars are cooked at high temperatures. These compounds are inflammatory. They increase the acid load in your blood, which your kidneys must then neutralize. They promote calcification, where soft tissues begin to harden with mineral deposits, and they accelerate scarring. Therefore, it's not the steak or the chicken breast that's problematic. It's the processing, the chemicals, the additives. A grilled piece of wild-caught salmon or a roast chicken prepared at home is fundamentally different from a fast food burger or packaged deli meat. Same protein, entirely different impact on your kidneys. If you already have some kidney compromise, or if you are dehydrated, or if you have metabolic issues like diabetes, then it certainly makes sense to be more moderate with protein and focus on high-quality sources. But do not fear real, unprocessed protein. Your kidneys need it to heal and function properly. Those phosphate preservatives I just mentioned deserve a closer examination because they are ubiquitous, and most people have no idea what they do inside the body. Phosphates are natural minerals. Your bones are largely composed of calcium and phosphate. However, the inorganic phosphates used as food additives are a different story. They're absorbed at rates of approximately 90%, compared to only 30 to 40% for the phosphates naturally present in whole foods. That is a massive difference. There is likely a very good evolutionary reason why we absorb only a fraction of naturally occurring phosphates: balance. But when food manufacturers add concentrated inorganic phosphates to processed cheese, sodas, frozen meals, and fast food, we suddenly absorb far more than our bodies are designed to handle. Where do these excess phosphates go? They accumulate in your kidneys and your arteries. And even in your bones, though they disrupt the balance with calcium. In kidney tissue, this leads to a condition called renal osteodystrophy. Essentially, your kidneys begin to calcify and harden from the inside, like mineral deposits building up in old plumbing. Soft tissue is not meant to behave like bone. When it does, it loses function. Filtration becomes impaired, and the damage becomes permanent. You won't see inorganic phosphate on an ingredient list. You'll see names like sodium phosphate, calcium phosphate, or phosphoric acid. They are hiding in plain sight, especially in inexpensive processed foods. The more you can shift toward whole, unprocessed foods, the more you protect yourself from this invisible burden. Yet, if I had to identify a single food category that causes the most kidney damage, accelerates metabolic breakdown, and is embedded in nearly every processed product available, it would be this: sugar and all its derivatives, table sugar, high fructose, corn syrup, agave nectar, and even honey when consumed in large quantities. People often believe sugar is detrimental, simply because it raises blood glucose and leads to insulin resistance. Yes, that is a problem. But the most damaging aspect of sugar for your kidneys isn't the glucose, it's the fructose. Here's what most people don't realize. Glucose can be used for energy by almost every cell in your body. Fructose, however, can only be processed by your liver. When your liver metabolizes fructose, it consumes enormous amounts of ATP, your cellular energy currency. As ATP breaks down, it releases a compound containing nitrogen. That nitrogen converts into uric acid, the same sharp, abrasive, crystal-forming uric acid we discussed with alcohol. The paradox is that fructose doesn't contain any protein. It shouldn't produce nitrogen waste. But due to its unique metabolic pathway, it is actually one of the fastest and most significant ways to spike uric acid levels in your blood. Regular table sugar is about 50% fructose. High fructose corn syrup can be 55% or higher. Agave nectar, sometimes marketed as a health food due to its lower glycemic index, can be 70 to 80% fructose. In some ways, it's even worse. Honey also contains high amounts of fructose, though it possesses other beneficial compounds. The point is this: if you are consuming sweetened drinks, desserts, flavored coffee, beverages, candy, baked goods, or even seemingly healthy items like flavored yogurt or granola bars, you are flooding your system with fructose. Over time, this creates a toxic load of uric acid that your kidneys must clear. Uric acid doesn't pass through harmlessly. It scrapes and damages tissue, forms stones, and causes scarring. That scarring is often permanent. Does this mean you can never have a teaspoon of honey in your tea or a slice of birthday cake? Of course not. If you are metabolically healthy, occasional sweetness will not destroy your kidneys. But if you consume sugar daily, multiple times a day, in processed foods and drinks, then yes, it is quietly creating damage that builds slowly, silently, and without warning until suddenly kidney function has declined, and it is too late to fully reverse. So, where does all of this leave you? You've just learned that kidney damage doesn't announce itself with fanfare. It accumulates gradually from foods that seem ordinary, even healthy, processed foods with imbalanced sodium, chemical creamers in your coffee, alcohol without proper hydration, green smoothies overloaded with oxalates, artificial sweeteners in diet products, processed meats with phosphate additives, inorganic phosphates in cheap convenient foods, and above all, sugar and its fructose-driven uric acid burden. But here is what I want you to remember most. It's never about achieving perfection. You don't have to eliminate every single one of these foods forever. It's about reducing unnecessary strain, so your kidneys can continue doing what they've done faithfully for you all these years. Small, consistent changes compound over time. Swap the chemical creamer for real cream. Choose whole foods over processed convenience meals. Stay well hydrated. Rotate your leafy greens. Read ingredient labels. Gradually cut back on sugar. These are not radical overhauls. They are thoughtful adjustments, and your kidneys, those tireless filters, working every moment of every day, will thank you for them. If this detailed exploration helped you see the hidden foods that quietly damage your kidneys, please take a moment to like this video. It helps more people your age find information that truly matters. Subscribe for future conversations that protect your health, independence, and longevity. I'd love to hear from you. Which of these foods surprised you the most? Leave a comment below and join the discussion. Until next time, take good care of yourself.